Hey, welcome to our PineScript how-tos. Today I'm giving you a very simple way of implementing a trailing stop loss. I know it can get a bit tricky, so I wanted to make a very simple and straightforward video for you. So let's go. I'll be considering my usual example strategy where I use Bollinger Bands defined with the standard parameters. You can see here a little plot of these Bollinger Bands. Then the entries I consider for a long that an entry is entered when the price crosses above the upper Bollinger Band, while for the short it is when the price crosses below the lower Bollinger Band. And here I test my conditions to see if it is time to enter or not a trade. And if it is indeed, I have my strategy entry long here and my strategy entry short here. It is indeed but an example, and it will be up to you to implement your own strategy. Great, we have set the basis. Now, step one, we have to define the trailing stop loss. For this example, I'm going for a textbook style of trailing stop loss where I simply say it must be a given percentage around the entry price. So for the long, it will be minus this percentage, and for the short, it will be plus this percentage. And here in particular, I went for 8%. But this is really up to you. You can come and plug in this long TSL or short TSL, whatever your strategy dictates. Here, for example, I just show another example where I could simply use an indicator as my trailing stop loss. Here, for example, it is a SMA average over 5 periods. In fact, let me actually mention that everything that is written up to here is what you should implement yourself with your own strategy. But everything that we're going to see after, you don't have to change anything. It will work all by itself simply by using these quantities that are defined here. Okay, now we get to the most technical part. Not too much, but we need to implement a little computation that checks and updates the stop loss level depending on the price movement. In other words, the trailing. At each candle, when you have a trailing stop loss, you need to ask yourself one question. Am I updating the value of my stop loss, or am I keeping the one of the previous candle? And this is what these lines do here. Here is the example of the long. So the first quantity that I define is the stop loss price at each candle for the longs. Then with this value at hand, I actually need to do a little check. And the check is to see, well, if a long is opened, that is why I check strategy.position size larger than 0. So this condition will be true if a long is open, while if you do smaller than 0, then this will be true if a short is open. Anyway, so if a long is open, what happens? We move to this line here. And here what we do is give me the value that is the largest between the long TSL and long stop price at the previous candle. So this one in between square brackets means give me the value at the previous candle. So the result of this, in other words, the maximum value between these two will be stored in long stop price. And here we have therefore two possibilities. Imagine indeed the price has moved upwards and therefore our long TSL according to our strategy has also moved upwards, and therefore it will by definition be larger than what it was at the previous candle. So the long stop price will now be updated, it will have trade up, and that's it. The other option is that the price went down and quite possibly our long TSL went down as well. And in that case, this will now be smaller than what it was at the previous candle. And therefore the max will return this value here. And in other words, the stop loss at this current candle will be the same as before. No trailing happened. And this little block is finished with an else 0. This is simply if indeed the long wasn't open, then it sticks to having long stop price is equal to 0. And for the shorts, things are really similar. Simply the logic is reversed. We now check for the minimum between the short TSL that we've defined according to our strategy and the short stop loss price of the previous candle. At this point, you might be wondering, why are we using these else's here? Are they really important? Yes, they are. They are actually important, and they're used as soon as a new position is opened. So in the case of a long, if a new long is opened after a previous long being closed or a previous short being closed, whatever. Well, when a new one is opened, then by definition, this value here of the previous candle will have been 0 thanks to this. Meaning that as soon as it is open, if this is 0, then naturally the maximum is going to pick this value here. And therefore, as soon as the position is open, we know that the first stop loss will be taken according to our trailing stop loss. And again, the same for the short, but the logic is reversed. At a given candle, if the short is open, then the previous candle was by definition this number here, thanks to the else. Therefore, this math min will be bound to pick the short TSL, which will be given by our strategy, because naturally this will be smaller than this value. That wasn't too hard, right? Now we simply need to set the exits. Well, this one is very easy and even goes without saying. If a long is open, then set the strategy exit to the long stop loss price, while if a short is open, set the strategy exit to the short stop loss price. Nice, we've done it. Little bonus. Let's plot the trailing stop loss levels. Here we have to go for a series plot because this is a discrete computation. And basically we check if a long is open, then you should plot the long stop loss price. And if no long is open, you don't plot anything. And the same goes for the short. I chose a blue color and a style cross for this example here. So let me simply save and then add to the chart so we can have a look at how it all looks. And there we go. We have a nice example here. We enter the long at this point and we see the crosses. This is our trailing stop loss. We can see how it evolved. And here, for example, where there was a big pump, our trailing stop loss did increase a lot to follow that pump. Up to here, where the price went down and hit our trailing stop loss level, and therefore our trade was indeed exited at this point here. And there you go. I will put this code on our GitHub so you can grab it for free. Links below. If you found this content helpful, don't forget a little like and consider subscribing too. See you soon. Take care.